Hello, everybody, and welcome to our final Bachelor in Paradise live. Wow, I cannot even believe we're saying that. What a season. We had 2 dramatic breakups, 3 engagements, and a bromance for the books. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined by the lovely Fiona Zaring and Gianna Gravelisi. We have so much to talk about. We have updates on all of the couples that we're going to get into. But Fiona, what did you think of the finale?
I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was kind of what I was expecting, and I was nervous that the 3 hours were going to drag. I got a little bored in the middle, but overall, I feel like it was a great way to finish off the season. We saw what we needed to, we got closure on a lot of the storylines. I had a good time. How did you feel, Gianna?
It was so long. I mean, 3 hours, that's longer than most feature films. I mean, like you said, Fiona, I did get a little bored in the middle to the point where I actually fell asleep just for a little bit.
Wow.
But I rewinded, I caught up, I was fine. But yeah, I mean, not too many surprises. What I loved about this finale was honestly how much comedy was in it. I feel like we had so much comedic relief, so many laughs. So I really did love it. Definitely dramatic as always, but again, I wasn't really shocked at anything, but nonetheless, great season finale.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked at anything too, and I don't know if that's because Bachelor spoilers are literally everywhere. I was more shocked at like the videos of like Abigail and Becca that they posted on Instagram immediately, which we're gonna get into. So that is what like shocked me, and I loved watching all of the breakups. So I can't wait to hear what you guys say. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone: subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you never miss out. We have Michelle's season of The Bachelorette in just a couple of weeks, and we are going to be covering that all season long. So definitely ring the notification bell so you guys are updated whenever we post. And let's get right into it because this episode started right off with Abigail crying in the bathroom. Her and Noah obviously ended up breaking up. They went their separate ways, and then it was just literally minutes later where Abigail could not wait to post her Instagram video of all of the memories and all of the things her and Noah have been doing since the show. And this serves as a bit of a question because now everyone's like, why did they break up? It seems like they got right back together the second they got home, if not within a week. Fiona, what was your take on that?
I mean, we've talked about this a lot. I think that Abigail is someone who struggles a little bit with the bachelor process in a way that I think I would too, because it feels like you're in fast forward the entire time you're there. I think she struggles to really lean into taking those giant leaps at such a fast pace. And I feel like it was hard for her to communicate with Noah her feelings throughout this entire process. I think Noah felt a little hurt. He felt like he put himself out there and didn't receive anything back too many times. I think he panicked. And I think that their breakup was really hard to watch. Everything he was saying sort of sucked. She was really, really sad. And I wouldn't be surprised if I felt like she kind of rushed out of there. Like she didn't want to have it out with him. She didn't want to have a big conversation. She wanted it to be done. And I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if pretty much after the camera stopped rolling and they were back home, she was like, no, I'm going to need to have a bigger conversation. I'm going to need to have it out. I need to understand what the heck was going through your mind. But I didn't want to do all of that with a camera in my face. And then they somehow found a way to mend fences and get back together. I mean, that's sort of my assumption as to how it all played out. I'm curious for your guys' thoughts, though.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a more genuine breakup because the rumor is that the show and the producers made them break up as well as Thomas and Becca because they weren't going to get engaged. Katie Thurston also had a really interesting tweet that it was weird how there's 5 couples together. Maybe ABC didn't want to pay for 5 engagement rings. They only wanted to pay for 3. So maybe they forced them to break up. But I felt like Abigail and Noah's breakup was genuine. But I'm just curious how they reconnected so quickly. And obviously, we didn't get a reunion. I'm sure they'll go on a podcast or do an interview soon. But I'm curious when they reconnected and what that conversation was like because Abigail seemed hurt. She was like, wow, how many times are you going to tell me I'm not your person? And then we see this Instagram video where Abigail basically says, I love you. You are my person. Gianna, how do you think things played out after the cameras went down?
Watching this show, I always try to put myself in the contestant's shoes. Like, we have to remember, like you said, Fiona, like, this show is a process and it's a fast process. I mean, I would also struggle with it as well because I take things very, very slow. And my parents would actually kill me if I came back home from the beach engaged, I think, especially my dad.
Wow.
So, I mean, I feel like they got home and honestly, I'm going to put this out there. I think that their breakup was for the better. I think if they got engaged like right away on the beach, it would have maybe freaked Abigail out to the point where when they got back home, maybe then they would have had a breakup. But I think that they needed to go through that kind of rough patch to be able to get home and do this thing in the real world. So I feel like it was right when they got home. Maybe they took a day or two to kind of like recoup, rekindle, get back to the States. But I think that they definitely either met up and had a conversation or had a phone call and had a conversation. And we're like, let's try this again, not on the beach, not in Mexico, not in front of a million people and a million cameras. So I really think that they just needed to give it another shot outside of this crazy bubble that we call The Bachelor. So I don't
Yeah.
blame them for what they did. And I think that that was like a normal move. I would have done the same thing if I went through a breakup with somebody I was spending all my time on the beach with. And, everyone idolized them too. You have to remember they were in the limelight, not only in front of millions of people on national television, but in front of their peers on the beach. Everyone always looked up to them and compared themselves to them. And they were under a lot of pressure. And I think they cracked a little bit. But doing a relationship in the real world is way easier, especially after you were doing it on television. So I'm happy for them. I think that they just simply did what any normal couple would do after a breakup.
And they seem like they really love each other. By watching that Instagram video, Abigail is giggling the entire time. They have so many memories. They're hiking. It seems like she met his family. There was one picture with Ivan in it. So they definitely have been hanging out. Noah even tweeted something that 4 different states they've been sneaking around. So they really have been doing the damn thing. Fiona, you definitely watched the Instagram video. What do you think their future holds? Do we think they could get engaged and last? They seem really happy.
They do seem really happy. And I feel like, to me, sometimes I can get more confident in an engagement if it happens, even if it's people from Bachelor, Paradise, franchise, whatever, in the real world. Like, if Noah proposes to Abigail now, I think that they're going to 100% make it work. You know what I mean? That is a real life, cameras off, nothing to gain. You're not doing it for a publicity spike. That is a real engagement. So I don't necessarily think that I expect that coming anytime soon. I think they're going to take it slow. Still think that's going to be Abigail's nature. I think Noah obviously understands the way her mind works at this point. I just hope that they have been able to establish a communication strategy that works for them, because that seemed to be the thing that kept getting them in trouble on the beach. Either she would be feeling insecure and he couldn't show up for her in the way she needed, or he would try to show up and her response would make him feel insecure. So as long as they've worked that out, I feel like the future could be totally marriage, but way down the line. I just don't think that they're going to be the type to get engaged right away now, because why would they, right? They just had a chance to get engaged on the beach. It feels like they're very intentionally taking a different path, but I really do have a lot of faith in it for them.
Me too. I mean, they're 25, so of course they're going to take their time. They're also the best looking couple in Paradise, in my opinion, as well. I loved Abigail's prom dress, and I think that they probably have worked on their communication now that the cameras and producers are out of the equation. It's easier for them. You can see by that Instagram video, they're so seamless. Gianna, what are your final thoughts on them and their future?
Well, I think that we saw more personality from them in this 1 minute Instagram video
Yeah.
than we saw throughout the entire season. It's like, this is what I wanted to see. This is what I was waiting for them. I just think that, they were right for each other, but they were in the wrong environment. Again, like, obviously none of us have been on the show, but people need to understand how hard it is to be on a reality television show and basically being like forced to find love only within a couple of weeks. So I think that they were definitely meant for each other, and I'm glad that they skirted out of that environment and got together the way they are now. They look so cute. They are both so hot. Like it's just working for me. And I think that if they take it slow, and like you guys are saying, work on their communication, I think they can go the distance for sure. They're still young, they're having fun, and we see a very small percentage of success from engagements that happen on the show. So I agree with Fiona. Like, I think if they get engaged outside the show, months down the line, years down the line, they are going to succeed, and I wish nothing but the best for them. I love them so much.
Me too. Yeah, and I do want to point out Kevin and Astrid, they were on Bachelor in Paradise season 5. Kevin broke up with Astrid on the show, and then by the reunion, they realized that they were meant to be together, and they rekindled their relationship when they got home. Now they're living together in Toronto. Astrid's pregnant, they're engaged, and they didn't, get proposed to on the show. And the same thing with Dean and Caelynn. They're still together. They didn't get engaged on the show. And there's one more couple, Raven and Adam. They also didn't get engaged on the show. They got engaged in their own time, and they're still together. So it's almost better for them specifically to just like do what they did. It probably worked better for them. And we'll definitely be keeping, tabs on them. Follow them on Instagram, guys. We'll be keeping all the updates on Noah and Abigail. We did have one last rose ceremony, which I was surprised when Wells said it was rose ceremony 5, because there's been so many episodes, so many hours. I'm like, there's only been 5 rose ceremonies. And during the rose ceremony, Ed gave his rose to McKenna, Aaron gave his rose to Tia, and James gave his rose to Anna, which means that Natasha went home single, as well as Chelsea. Fiona, what are your thoughts on Natasha leaving after her dramatic season? She did not find the one.
Oh, it breaks my heart. I do have to say, I did see this coming. Natasha seemed to see it coming a little bit too, because Ed and McKenna went on a one-on-one date. Ed and Natasha spent like a little bit of time together. I think that she kind of had the writing on the wall. She took it like a champ. But it really did shatter my heart, because it feels like she really showed up on the beach looking for a real relationship. Like, I think Natasha was someone who was all in on the process, saw it working for people around her, and really, really wanted to leave the beach engaged. So absolutely breaks my heart. I feel like she deserved more. I know we all have been saying it, justice for Natasha. Whether that means she like goes back to paradise, right, and tries again, I'm sure they would love to have her. I think the question would just be like, is she willing to put herself through that again, knowing that it can potentially play out the way it did for her the first time? Who knows what we'll see in the future. But, at least she gave it a shot, right? I mean, maybe it didn't work out, but I think it's always a wonderful thing to like give yourself the chance to fall in love. And I hope that that's what she takes away from the experience,
Can we all just say, like, for the last time, justice for Natasha? Can we all do this on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Justice for Natasha. For the last time. Oh my God. Yeah, we'll have to continue to see her story play out. Gianna, what was your thoughts on Chelsea leaving the beach single? I kind of feel like Aaron played her, because he was really into her for a long time, and that whole Tia thing came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I felt sad for her too, because Chelsea is a stunning. She is tall, which my 5-foot self looks up to her for sure. And
Literally.
I think that she kind of did get she got played a little dirty, like at the prom, Aaron and Tia kind of came out of literally nowhere. Like, that I did not see coming. That was one of the most random things that happened, I feel, this season. And they hit it off. Clearly they didn't succeed, but I feel like with tensions being so high and the fact that it was the end, I feel like you start to go a little crazy on that beach, especially when you're not like very secure in a relationship, and you start, I'm going to make out with this one, I'm going to go hang out with this one. So although they were together, Aaron and Chelsea, I don't think that they were in one of those secure, definite relationships. I don't even think I could have seen them going to the end. So I understand why Aaron continued to explore his options. It's always so hard though, because it's like, on one hand, this is paradise. You're going to date like multiple people within one day. But on the other hand, I hate to see a girl like Chelsea get played and then have to go home. But at the end of the day, the beautiful ladies that went home all deserve love. And I think that they're all going to find love. So I think especially someone like Chelsea, again, she is stunning. So she deserves better than what was on that beach anyway, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea, she's riding off to New York where she's a runway model. She'll be fine. Natasha has, over 460,000 Instagram followers, as noted at the end of the credits, so she'll be fine. So definitely excited to see what happens with them in their future. Dean and Kaylin came in the next day. They took over the host position, and oh my God, it looked like they were reading off of a script when they were like, it was just so intense for Dean and Kaylin. I could not take it seriously. But they basically told all the couples that if they were not going to go to fantasy suites and possibly get engaged, now was the time to break up. And let's kind of talk about what happened, because McKenna ended things with Ed, James ended things with Anna, Aaron ended things with Tia. Fiona, which one do you want to kind of give your 2 cents on, the McKenna Ed or the James and Anna?
I feel like my 2 cents is really just the same, like across the board. And that is like, this was so obvious. We all saw it coming. They saw it coming. I mean, I guess my thought on the McKenna and Ed thing was, boy, did Ed give it his best shot. Like,
I know.
truly did not want to give up, which I don't think I was expecting. McKenna handled that, I think, as well as anyone could have. And I think that all of these people just kind of felt like, well, I guess this is what it was. Like, I came, I showed up, I didn't really have a chance to begin with, so I'm just gonna exit as gracefully as I could. It was entertaining to watch, but I think all of us were expecting this. Like, I don't think anyone thought that there was a real chance that these couples were going to like leave in a serious relationship, right? I mean, I guess Anna and James could have maybe left like ready for date number 2, but like none of these people were leaving in a serious relationship.
Yeah, McKenna cracks me up. She was just like, Ed just kept going. I'm like, Ed, you could literally be her father. She's so young. Like, she's just not trying to do this. She still lives in Canada. Like, you barely know her. Oh my God, it was so weird. Gianna, what do you think about Aaron, Tia, James? Walk me through the kind of bromance, and we can get into this luggage on the sand, because I was cracking up.
Oh my goodness. I was cackling. Like, first, I mean, James broke up with Anna, right? So it was funny to me that she was like, am so blindsided right now, because it's like, girl, what did you expect? Like, there was literally a day left on the beach. Did you want to just go to fantasy suites and like him get down on one knee? Like, you guys like don't even know each other's favorite color. Like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, I'm glad that James did what he did. He's definitely not the bad guy in the situation. I completely get what he did. Again, one of the another surprises this season, I did not see him and Aaron leaving together. I was cracking up. This was the moment I think all of Bachelor Nation had like tears streaming from how funny this was. The fact that he's saying his goodbyes and he's like, Aaron, you want to go back to ST?
Let's hit it.
Aaron jumped like he had fire under his butt. He's like, absolutely. Then they started playing that chaotic music. Aaron ran to Tia. He's like, can we chat for a minute? Took her approximately 3 feet away from the couch she was sitting on. She was like right here, like in front of the women can still hear us. And then he's like, I care about you. You're great. But James is waiting, and ran. Like, it was literally a 5-second breakup. And Tia was, I'm so glad she didn't get upset or cry or anything. She just laughed it off. And she's like, am I being punked right now? Then she watched as Aaron was on James's back as they rode off into the sunset, into their van that was waiting for them. And she was just like, I hope you found what you're looking for. Like, this was hysterical. Like, my face was Aaron's face in this picture. I love this bromance. We saw this bromance like a little bit throughout the whole season, and then, on Katie's season a little bit as well. That's where it all started. So to see that they're still close to this day, like, it makes me more happy when a friendship this strong comes out of the Bachelor franchise than even a relationship. Like, I love seeing bromances or like girl best friends or just big groups of friends that were from the show. So brought a smile to my face, lots of laughs, and this was my favorite moment and my favorite couple of the entire season.
Me too. Definitely the
poor
best
Tia.
couple of the entire
Really
season.
same.
It started off with a trio because Trey was also friends with them, but he ended up leaving early. I'm
Yes.
glad that Tia had a sense of humor about the whole thing because last time she was on the beach, she was so uptight and like stressed the entire time. And this time we really saw the lighthearted energy of Tia. And I mean, her with the luggage in the sand, it was just so funny. We know that Tia may or may not have a boyfriend. She has been rumored to have one back in Nashville that she met after Paradise. So maybe she'll post about that in due time. And Aaron and James are now roommates. It said that at the end of credits. So I'm glad that they have found, love with each other. And they're definitely the best couple on the beach. And this is the second time Tia got broken up with on Paradise. Her Paradise boyfriend broke up with her for another man. Last time Colton, this time Aaron. So, Tia's got some work to do, and she definitely acknowledged that she's never going back to Paradise again. Fiona, out of all of these people that left, who do you want to see go back next season for a second chance?
A lot of them, to be honest with you. Like, I would love to have Aaron and James on the beach together again. Like, I think that bromance should return to the
Package
beach
deal.
as a duo. They're definitely a package deal. I would really love to see Chelsea come back. I thought she was awesome. I thought she brought a really fun energy, and we didn't get to see a lot of it. I would like to see. Well, maybe it's not as many as
McKenna?
I thought. I would like to see Natasha back. McKenna, I feel like had a really bumpy time. Like, I think she just was doing her best to not seem uncomfortable around Ed. So part of me would like to see her come back just to see what her personality in Paradise would actually be like, because I don't really think we saw it. But yeah, I mean, if I had like a true wish list, I feel like it would be Natasha, obviously, Aaron and James, and honestly, maybe Ivan, because he went out on a ball of fire, and I think he is a better guy than that. So if we're going to see a redemption arc, I would like it to maybe be Ivan, to see if we didn't really know him on Tayshia's season, or if that was just a really bad moment. So that's kind of who I would be curious about.
Yeah, and we're still waiting to hear Ivan tell his side of the story. So
I
hopefully we
know.
get that soon. But another power couple that broke up was Thomas and Becca. And this relationship also rekindled right after the show. And a lot of people are still saying this relationship was fake because Becca seems so stone cold, and she was kind of like, this is too good to be true. I did not buy it at all. I think Becca is an actress. She's a paid actress. Thomas whimpering, I also did not buy. Where were the tears, Thomas? Where were the tears? So Becca ended up posting a 2.5-minute Instagram clip. It seems like they have been dating since they got back from the show. Gianna, do we think that this was a fake breakup, or do we think that Becca maybe didn't want to go through another engagement, because she did have, her engagement to Ari and Garrett, 2 failed engagements on The Bachelor. Maybe she didn't want her third.
I thought that was her thought process, like she's been through this so many times already. It's like that would be embarrassing to go through it a third time, like you said. But the acting, like I just wasn't buying it at all. And like, I'm sorry, I laughed almost as hard as I was laughing at Aaron and James leaving the beach at Thomas's wailing. It wasn't even like
What was
crying.
that?
There wasn't a single tear that dropped from his eyes. His eyes didn't get red. His cheeks didn't get red. Like, nothing was coming out. He was just like, I was falling in love with you. Like, there was nothing. Like, I just couldn't do it. And then she was just like a robot, like stone cold robot. So I wouldn't even say she's a paid actress, because she's not a good actress at all. Neither is Thomas. And then the fact that she got up and ran like so dramatically to like give him a hug. I'm like, this looked so constructed, and I was confused. I was so confused. Like, I don't know about them. I'm just not buying it. Like, I think this was definitely maybe a little producer's move on their part.
Oh, of course.
For sure.
Well, Becca is a producer at this point. She is on the Bachelor affiliated podcast. She knows exactly what she's doing. They will never make her look bad because she was the Bachelorette. I mean, the editing with everything, it's like they really gave Thomas the redemption story, but these producers just know exactly what they're doing. Becca has been in this game for years. That was horrible acting. I don't buy it today. I don't buy it tomorrow. Becca showed zero emotion, zero authenticity. Becca infuriates me, to be honest. I don't think she showed any authenticity the entire time on the beach. I feel like she's just too accustomed to the camera. She's too accustomed and close with everyone behind the scenes, and we did not get to know her at all. And it just was frustrating, to be honest. Fiona, what was your take, and do you think that they will last? I will say I do think they're happy together now. I love their video. I wish them the best, and I think that they are genuinely in love, but I just don't buy anything Becca did on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a slightly softer take on it than you guys do. I definitely thought the breakup was weird. I definitely thought it kind of came out of left field. I felt like it was definitely Becca playing an angle. The part that I felt was the most authentic was her in the car when she was kind of like, I wasn't expecting him to react that way. Like, I don't know. Like, it was very clear to me in that moment that, like, she wasn't sure if what she just did was the right call. And whether or not she went into it, you know, super sure or unsure, like, we didn't get enough context. We didn't even see their relationship this entire season, right? So I just, like, didn't know what to feel for them. But in that moment, I felt like she's genuinely not sure if she just made the right decision. And we've already seen that they clearly are in touch right now. They've popped up on each other's stories. So it does feel like that phone call where she probably said, hey, I may have just messed up. Can we talk? Was coming quickly after they, you know, got off their planes back to the States. So I think that, you know, what I make of their time in paradise, I feel like I genuinely don't know. We barely saw it. The breakup was super bizarre. The tears felt like a lot. But again, I didn't see him fall in love with her. The tears. Sorry, I agree with you guys. He didn't actually shed a real tear. But, like, do you know what I mean?
Literally.
Like, it felt like so much and so weird. But granted, I don't think we saw them spend any time together. So I don't know what to make of it. But again, like you said, I think their relationship that they have going on together now is cute. And I think it's going to last at least for a while. I don't know if they'll be married, but a while at least.
I hope that they do last. I really hope that they last because they seem happy together and genuine. But I will say, as someone who's seen all 7 seasons of Paradise, this was the least authentic and genuine season we have ever had. Because usually we have a romantic love story. Like, usually we have a breakup at the end, a real breakup. We did not have any heartbreak at the end, like Carly and Evan back in the day, like Katie and Chris Bukowski. Like, there's all of these really authentic, dramatic stories. And it just felt like producers were really pushing on these 2 breakups between Noah and Abigail and Thomas and Becca, and then they rekindled after. I mean, happy for them. This is a record number of success couples we've ever had in Paradise. Like, there's 7 couples, if you include James and Aaron, walking away together. So we did it, like, check mark box. But it was just kind of interesting to see the way that there was just no exit breakup at the end. Gianna, what do you think of that, though? Do you feel like we're cheated in a way almost by this season, or is this just how the show has become because of social media and producers?
As you were talking out that point, I kind of developed a little theory in my head. I feel as though they've seen less and less numbers of people applying for The Bachelor, Bachelorette, maybe, and just, you know, because of what's gone on in the last couple of years. So maybe they're trying to make Paradise like, oh my God, like, if you're on the show and then we pick you to be on Paradise, like, you are going to come out having a great time, like, or most likely engaged. Like, I think they're really trying to make it like, ta-da, this process works. Because I feel like we heard a lot of that phrase too. Like, this Paradise process works. I want to believe Paradise works. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? You guys are like on a beach drinking. It's like, I don't think I would get married at the end, but maybe they're just trying to get more people to come on the show. Like, I don't know, but I agree with you 1,000%. I think it was really disingenuous. Like, it makes me offended that producers think that we're all naive enough to believe that this is still reality TV. Like, I was actually having this conversation with my mom this morning about how reality TV has just became this like it's scripted now. It's total fiction. Like it's not reality anymore. And I was thinking about when her and I used to even watch like Idol back in the day, and you'd have those like awful like auditions that would be so funny. Like now it's just like, hey, everyone that auditions is good. Like now people go on the show and they get married and everything's all butterflies.
Yeah.
Like no, like I want that realness. I don't want forced drama. We know what's real and what's not. And like I just don't know why they can't just let the show be what it was meant to be way back when it first started. So I highly encourage any producers or anyone that's affiliated with the franchise that's watching this to really take everyone's thoughts into consideration, because we're not stupid. We can see right through the BS. So
or maybe the
we know what's
contestants
going
are
on.
just a lot smarter too, and now they're trying to like, produce the producers. I think that is part of what is happening as well. I really encourage all of the new fans of The Bachelor, if you just started watching the last like 2 or 3 years, go watch the old seasons and you'll know what I'm talking about, because the authenticity and the less strategic produced stuff is there. It's such a different show. Now they're just trying to get as many stories and as many plot lines as possible, so there's just more to talk about. And I don't know if it's just because so many of us are longtime Bachelor fans that now we can read the producers, or if it's just because this is what the show has developed. But I miss those moments, like when somebody would turn down a rose at the rose ceremony, or just like any type of dramatic breakup where I would just start crying. Like those are the moments that I miss on the show so much. Fiona, what do you think was the most dramatic breakup out of the breakups on last night's finale? There was 4 or 5 breakups.
Sorry, I was on mute for a second. The most dramatic breakup, I feel like I want to give to Becca and Thomas, because Abigail and Noah's to me just felt like, honestly, I was sort of like how she said, blindsided, right? Like it felt like it came in and it came out quick and it happened fast and it was chaotic. But Thomas's wailing really, really, really brought the drama. And since we know that basically all of our real couples that broke up, like I don't count James and Anna, I don't count, McKenna and Ed, Tia and Aaron, like they were not couples, right? So I think that knowing that the couples that broke up basically got back together, I got to give it to Thomas for those waterworks, whatever that was. It was so drama, but it worked for him. Whatever that angle was that he played, had her doubting herself in the car, and now they're happily ever after. So it all worked out.
Let them ride off to the sunset, and we wish them the best of luck. But let's get into our final 3 couples, and we have updates on all of them, where they are. There's no reunion, so we will be the reunion for you guys and give you the updates. So Kenny and Mari ended up going on their one-on-one date. They did the fantasy suite thing. The storyline was that Kenny was worried Mari was too young to get engaged. She's 25 and he is 40, but Mari ultimately told him that she wanted to get married young and that she was willing to do whatever it took to work, and Kenny ended up proposing, and they have discussed what their future is, and Mari is planning on moving to Chicago to be with Kenny. Gianna, what are your thoughts on this couple? Are you rooting for them? Do you think they'll go the distance? How do you think it all played out?
I'm totally rooting for them. And I was just thinking, because I'm like, look at them now. Like, Kenny's down on one knee. Like, Mari's getting that ring. Like, think about the beginning of the season when they had their little breakup way in the beginning. All because Mari, and you know what? I was team Mari on this one. She was basically just like, if someone comes down and asks me on a date, like, I'm going to go. Would you be mad? Like, she was literally just trying to communicate since the get-go. Like, I don't think she was really trying to say, like, F you, like, I'm going on other dates type of thing. I think she was just trying to feel out like what her paradise experience would be. But like all that aside, all Demi aside in the boom boom room and whatever, like I just like it's like I was surprised and I wasn't at the same time. Like the whole thing was, would they get back together after Demi? And now that they are, like, I've seen such a shift in both of them and how they behave with each other. And I love them. I think they are also one of the hottest couples on the beach, right next to Abigail and Noah. I love the both of them. Like, come on. It was disappointing because in the back of my head, we all knew this was happening, just because when we were breaking down that preview a couple weeks ago, we saw that it was clearly Kenny's hand proposing. And then we did see that Mari had a ring in one of the other clips, which she was trying to deny and everyone was trying to deny, but clearly it was true, so whatever. But yeah, I love them. I love their journey. Again, not too surprised. They didn't really have a tough conversation. Like, I completely understood Kenny's worries about her, because I mean, she's close to our age. I'll be 24 next month. I can't see myself getting married in the slightest. And if I were in her position, I probably would have been like, actually, yeah, never mind. Like, I'm not ready. So I get that, why he kind of brought that up. But yeah, like, I think that they're great together. Their passion is totally there too. I think they're the most passionate couple that was on the beach. So I see them going really far together. And again, I wish them nothing but the best.
And I will say, I'm glad that Mari is taking the initiative to move to Chicago, because when we get into the next two couples, they're still a little bit up in the air. So I feel like Mari and Kenny making that announcement, they did a lot of press this morning. They're the real deal and they are official. And, Mari looked good going down on that little podium. So super happy for them. Fiona, what are your thoughts on Mari and Kenny's proposal? Do you think they will go the distance?
Yeah, it's funny because literally just yesterday before the finale, we were talking about them getting engaged. And I was like, I don't really think they should. Their entire paradise has been about trying to be a couple, trying to make it work, trying to figure it out. Like, that doesn't feel like a strong enough foundation for me. But the hopeless romantic in me totally took over last night. And by the end of the proposal, I was really, really happy for them. I do see their connection. That hasn't been something that, as a viewer, I've doubted. I think the spark between them is clear. I think it's so obvious how into him she is. And he's, definitely got his Kenny soft-spoken thing. He's not putting it all out there all the time, but it is obvious on his end too. So I feel like, do I think they're definitely getting married? No. Do I think that this engagement is definitely going to be something they both give 100% to and are clearly very all in on, which is what I wasn't sure I was going to feel last night. I almost felt like they were maybe just trying to do what you're supposed to do and get engaged. That's how it was going to come off to me. And I didn't get that vibe at all. I think they really believe in this right now. They're really going to try to make it work. And I'm certainly rooting for them. I'm with you. I think it's great that she's moving, because I think that is going to be a lot easier for them to navigate than distance. I think distance could be very complicated.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely be keeping up with them and following Mari and Kenny's journey. And we will give you guys the updates, because we got a bunch of couples, but are they all going to last? They never do. So we'll have to see what happens. The next couple to get engaged was Marissa and Riley. Marissa and Riley, they shared an intimate overnight date. Riley psyched her out a couple of times, which was so ruthless of him. But they had a very romantic proposal, and they are the first African-American couple to get engaged in Bachelor history, which is absolutely amazing for the Black community and just for everyone as regards to diversity. There has been so much diversity in reality TV. We had a Black winner on The Circle, a Black winner on Big Brother for the first time. So, this is just awesome, especially for the Bachelor franchise, who has struggled to be diverse for so many years. Riley currently lives in New York City. He's from Detroit, but he's living in New York. He works in New York. Marissa is from Montana, but she moved to Atlanta a couple years ago. So right now she is going to be going back and forth from Atlanta to New York, with the ultimate end goal to move to New York to be with Riley. And then they plan on getting married and having kids, but they're obviously taking things very slow. Gianna, what did you think of their proposal and where they are heading in their future?
Well, I am rattled over the fact that no one, no PA, no producer, no other woman or man with the decency ran up to her and just gave her a towel or something, because she was sweating. And I get it, it's Mexico, but that's all I could really focus on, which sounds horrible of me. I think I'll probably get attacked for saying that, but she was drenched. I'm like, did she go in the ocean before she got on the podium? How did nobody, the stairs and the podium were right there? Somebody had to have had something. Why did they help her? That was so rude. So whoever behind the scenes didn't help her, that was horrible on their part. Other than that, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's one of my favorite women on this season. And as a whole in the franchise. Like, I just love her vibe. Like, I think she's so mature for her age, and like she's gorgeous beyond gorgeous. I
She is.
was shocked actually that they did end up getting engaged, just because we kept seeing that clip of her bawling her eyes out in her robe, which was obviously after Fantasy Suites, over and over again. So I was just like, what could have possibly happened? Like, it was just weird to me too. That came out of left field, because they were like, he was talking about his visions for Sunday, like, I'm waking up and our kids
Sunday
and I hear our
morning.
kids and like breakfast. I'm like, whoa. And then he's like, hey, I love you, but I'm having doubts, and like ran away. And I'm just like, wow, how could you do that? Like, I think one of the producers was probably like, hey, just tell her you're having doubts so that she can really like evoke emotion when you actually do get down on that one knee, because that's what they do behind the scenes. But all in all, really happy for them. I think they're gonna vibe really well. I know that even Riley was expressing like his struggles, because of his family, like, and how he loves other people because of what he's been through. So I hope that they figure all of that out. It looks like they're so happy. And yeah, I mean, I love these two together. So I keep saying this, but I really do wish them all the best. Like, this makes me so
Are they
happy.
your favorite?
They might be my favorite. Like, I just love Marissa. Like, she is really my favorite. Riley's not one of my favorite contestants, but as long as she's happy, I'm happy. So I don't think they're my favorite couple, but she's really one of my favorite humans.
Yeah, that's fair. Marissa is stunning. I think she really became a fan favorite this season. Not a lot of people expected it. Fiona, what was your take on their engagement? Do you think that they have what it takes to go to the end? And like, what do you think about her not having a definitive plan to move to New York? They're kind of just going to feel it out for now.
Yeah, I have to say, I think they are my favorite. I really, really like them. I really loved their proposal. I felt the emotion. I thought it was really beautiful. I actually like that Riley really had to wrestle with this to think about it. To me, it feels like he's someone who really plans on doing this once. And I think he kind of subtly explains, or they only gave us a quick moment of the explanation as to what he was kind of dealing with. She hadn't met his family. Like, I think he's a very traditional guy. So for him to decide to get down on one knee and do it in this setting, as opposed to leaving the beach together and taking her home and meeting the families and doing it in their own time, I thought it was cute, because to me, and maybe I'm reading into something that isn't there, but it felt like he was letting them get swept up in the fairy tale of it all. And they just went for it. And I think they took that leap and they decided that like they were going to go for the fairy tale ending as opposed to the practical, like, potential like pacing that they're a little more comfortable with. And I don't always love that for people. A lot of the time in Bachelorland, I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't know. I think you're getting swept up. But I think they're both so mature that I really loved that for them. I feel like the little bits and pieces we've seen from them in Instagram, we've heard in interviews so far, it seems like they're really committed to making this work. They seem really, really happy. And I'm thrilled. Like, this would have been the heartbreaker for me. If they left together, I think I would have been okay with it. But if they somehow fell apart at the last second, it would have shattered me. So very, very happy for these two.
Yeah, and Marissa even said in one of her interviews that she had no idea Riley was going to propose. She thought that they might just leave the show together, and she was okay with that either way. But he did propose because he was having second thoughts on it. So congratulations to Marissa and Riley. We will definitely be keeping up with them and following along on their journey, and hopefully they make it down the aisle whenever they are ready to do that. Our last engaged couple was probably the most popular couple on the beach amongst Bachelor Nation. Maybe on this panel, maybe not. Joe and Serena, they went on their one-on-one date. Joe ended up proposing. Serena also said she had no idea he was going to propose. They actually talked about it in the fantasy suite and agreed that they weren't going to get engaged, but Joe was kind of wanted to surprise her because Serena is a very logical person. She likes to always be in control. So she had no idea, and she was really happy that it worked out that way. The updates are, I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Joe's lease ends in April in Chicago. So him and Serena, what they plan on doing is going back and forth to Toronto and Chicago, maybe meeting in New York. And then in April, they're going to decide if they want to move to New York together or Chicago or Toronto based on how they feel after feeling out all of the cities. And this is getting a lot of people heated online because people are like, well, why would Joe even consider moving? He didn't move for Kendall. And obviously, we have to discuss Kendall showing up, which made zero sense. It was very unnecessary. Kendall wanted to just tell Joe how she felt and just kind of let him free. Joe said in his interview that he was shocked that she came. He thought it was unnecessary. He didn't really like that she came on the beach. And a lot of Bachelor Nation and Bachelor alums also think it was unnecessary that Kendall showed up. Kendall has been pretty vague on Instagram about it, but her being there was ridiculous. Fiona, what was the purpose of Kendall even coming?
You know, it's so weird because we've been talking about what this is going to look like from every angle for such a long time now. Like, is she going to be there for one last plea, right? Don't do this, which would have been horrible, but like at least it would have been dramatic.
Iconic.
Right. Or is she going to be there to give him some sort of like, ooh, like, I shouldn't have been here this season. Like, I want you to know that I'm setting you free. And what actually happened to me felt very lackluster. She didn't say much. She kind of came on to basically reiterate what we already knew, what she had already said. Not to producers, to him. Like, it felt very, very unnecessary. I think that producers were hoping that if they just put them together on that podium, something more dramatic would have come from it. That, you know, if she saw him, she would have, even though she wasn't planning on making one last plea, maybe it would come out. Like, I really didn't think what happened needed to happen. I think fans are totally right in feeling like this was a waste of time. I mean, listen, it got us all really nervous. It got us all really excited to see what was going to come. But I wish they would have just left their engagement alone, to be perfectly honest. I would have liked to have seen them just happily had that moment without him having to confess to her on that podium. By the way, she showed up. Like, it was an unnecessary, awkward 10 seconds that didn't need to be there. Yeah. And to people's point about them being willing to try out New York, try out Toronto, try out Chicago, that doesn't bother me at all because we have to remember Joe did try California. He moved for Kendall. He was asking her to move for him. It is normal in the early stages of a relationship to try out what works best for you as a couple. It's always a give and take. And in their relationship, he gave and she wouldn't. So now they're back to the giving phase, right? They're back to figuring it out. Maybe they love their life in New York together. I don't know. I'm very happy for them. I think this whole Kendall narrative, all of it needs to just stop being a part of the equation. That's my opinion of it.
Absolutely. And I liked the way Serena handled it because when Joe told Serena what just happened, Serena, the first thing she said was, "Are you okay?" Like, she was just concerned that Joe was okay, which really just shows that Joe and Serena moved so far past the Kendall situation. I'm just so annoyed that Kendall had the nerve to like show up on that day for Joe. And I know she like wanted to wish him well. And I like that she said, oh, she's happy for them. But it was still so disrespectful to show up just to begin with. Gianna, we have been on the same boat with this, with frustration towards Kendall. What was your reaction? And I mean, how happy are you for Joe and Serena? Do you think they will last?
Like, Kendall, go home. Was she just in the hotel since she left from the first time she showed up on the beach and was crying over Joe? Like, were they feeding her snacks? Like, was she like, what? I need to know logistics wise. Like, was she literally there chilling? Like, was this a planned thing since she was there from her first time showing up on the beach? And producers were like, hey, hang out. We got something special for you at the end. Like, what did they tell her? And like, how much did they pay her to go down there and do that? Because let me tell you guys, no amount of money could have me do that ever. I would never, ever, ever show up at my ex's engagement and be like, good luck, buddy. No amount of money. You couldn't give me $1 million. Like, then, like, to face the embarrassment and the bashing that she knows she's going to get on social media, and that's why she's been laying low. Like, honey, like, why? I just want to know why.
It wasn't worth the $5
and
grand, Kendall. It wasn't worth it.
It wasn't. Like, please, like, start an OnlyFans instead or something. Like, you didn't need to do that. Like, you really didn't. Anyway, so let's just like, because I know last time we talked about her, we're like, we hope we'll never see Kendall or talk about her ever again. So this will be the last thing I say. Like, please, Kendall, like, do not show up anywhere. Like, are you going to their wedding? Like, don't you dare. That would be so rude. And it was really disrespectful on her part because clearly she
Oh
was
my
willing to
God.
do it, and on the producer's parts because they set that up. Like, I don't care how much drama in viewership you're trying to get out of this moment. Like, do not do that to somebody's engagement. Whatever. So I'll just close it at that. Kendall, don't show up to the beach ever again, because I'm so
Kendall,
happy for
don't do
Joe
it,
and Serena.
Kendall.
They were my favorite couple. And I just like, I loved their journey. Like, obviously, this was no surprise to any of us, but like, I'll forgive it. At first, I was a little mad that we weren't getting surprised, but like, they were just an inspiration to everyone else on the beach. I loved their love story. I mean, Serena, like, she is so young. I always talk about this when we talk about her. She's literally our age. So the fact that she's so mature and ready, I love the dynamic of their relationship. Joe is so quirky. His voice cracked when he was professing his love for her. Like, that was so cute. My heart was so warm. Like, usually I watch this and it kind of makes me want to vomit because I'm like, this is so cheesy, whatever. They truly, like, I wanted to cry for them because I love them so much, and I think they are so cute. And I think that they're going to last a really long time. I know flying to Toronto and doing, cross country type of thing right now is hard because of COVID and visas, and you can only stay in Toronto, or the other person can only stay in the States for only a certain number of days. Katie and Blake are doing that right now, and she said it's been a challenge. So I hope that they can do the same thing and get over this challenge and then finally settle down and get married. I hope we can all crash the wedding. Everyone on this panel, we should go find out where they're getting married, and we
We're
should crash the
going.
wedding. So
We're
we're going.
totally gonna go to the wedding. We're already invited. It's already gonna be a VIP
Yes.
situation. Yeah,
Red
congratulations
carpet.
to Joe and Serena. They obviously have a lot to work out. I think a lot of us are kind of shocked that she wasn't like, we're moving to Chicago, because that was kind of like the whole joke of everything. But yeah, they're gonna figure things out. And they seem really happy together on Instagram. There's no denying it. They're both dorks. They're both super giddy. So we're going to have to be following along their journey. And I look forward to hearing Kendall kind of explain anything whenever she gets the opportunity or her contract is up, if she wants to. But hopefully Kendall does not show up to their wedding. And I hope that Joe reproposes to her, to Serena, on like a different day, because we've seen that happen with Ari and Lauren, JoJo and Jordan. They kind of repropose with like a ring that they actually pay for versus the show, because Kendall put a damper in things, and there's just no denying that. A couple other updates is that Brendan and Piper have broken up. They are not together anymore. The show and the backlash was too much for them. Piper is choosing to focus on her mental health, which is really struggling right now, and Brendan is doing who knows what, because he's radio silent right now. He can't open his mouth without getting hate. And another couple, Chris and Elena, they are actually still going strong 3 months later. They're still together. No producers, no camera. Elena broke the news on Instagram that her and Chris are happy in a relationship, and that whatever drama happened on the beach doesn't affect them because they're still going strong. Fiona, what are your thoughts on Chris and Elena and Piper and Brendan?
You know, I feel like Chris and Elena, they were like iced out of there so cold, so fast. And granted, I think their whole like kind of her being into him before, whatever the specifics were, it wasn't great. But I have maintained this entire time that if anyone was going to stay on the beach under those circumstances, what they did, in my opinion, was ruder the way they did it to Jasenia than the intentions going in and onto the beach. Brendan and Piper, they were shady. They had a plan. They wanted to go to paradise and find love and all that. I think they kind of were into each other. And then they acted like a-holes to Jasenia. And that's why they got kicked out so swiftly. So I feel like what I never doubted throughout all of that behavior was that they definitely were into each other. So this doesn't come as that big of a surprise to me. I feel like they are going to make the most of this. They went to paradise. They got kicked out of paradise. But at least let's fight for this connection, since it literally got us sent home. So I guess I'm happy for them. Brendan and Piper, I hate to say it, but I'm happy for them too. Bad behavior does not deserve to be rewarded, and they behaved very badly.
Yeah, Gianna, what are your thoughts on those updates?
I love to say it. I am glad Brennan and Piper aren't together. They got what they deserved. It's the karma they deserved. Again, we said we'd never talk about them ever again, but here we are.
We have
I
to. We
loved the
have to close it out.
montage. Yes, at the end of the episode where they said Brennan and Piper, they're no longer together. They couldn't handle it. And then right after they're like, but Natasha has this many followers. Like that was literally the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah, Chris and Elena, I think that it should be a rule on Paradise. Like if you are waiting for somebody and they come, like you have to leave. Just get out. Like don't take the vacation and the pay. Like I just think that's super shady. The way that they played Jasenia was ridiculous. Like I was so happy to see them get kicked off the beach because that was like, it was almost like it was as bad as what Brendan and Piper did. It really was. And I just hated that. And like, I still don't understand how anyone could do that. Like, are you really that hungry for money and fame and clout? Like, really get over it. Like, if you're into somebody from Bachelor Nation, send them a DM. They'll probably answer you. Go hang out and do your own thing. Like, stay away from Paradise for the people that are there for the right reasons. It makes me so mad. So, yay, I guess they're together. Like, whatever, do whatever you want. Like, we don't forgive Chris and Elena, Brendan and Piper. Glad they're broken up. Don't want to see them ever again. Brendan, if you cross me in Boston, just don't. Just literally don't. Don't get out of my city. And if I see you and Piper together, I will break the story first. I will send it to Zach, and we will get both of them.
Yeah, we got this. So. Oh my god. Well, I'm happy for Chris and Elena. I do think their spark started before the beach. And what Chris kind of definitely played Jasenia, but I know Elena's a sweet person and she did not expect to get caught up in all of that mess. So good for them. And Brendan and Piper, obviously, everyone's kind of said they got what they're coming for. You know, Piper is struggling with her mental health, so I do wish her well in that. But I think that their true colors were shown and that it was a learning experience for the both of them. So let's check up on some of our single people who left the beach. We have our end credits here, which cackled everybody. Tia is still looking for her right dance partner. This is in reference to Blake, who is making her vagina dance all season long. This is where it's confusing because we saw that Tia had a boyfriend on Instagram. Like, this guy was leaked. Apparently they were dating since she got back from the show. There's people in Nashville saying they dated before Tia even left to begin with, or they were like kind of talking. So I feel like the show protects Tia because she's an OG and the producers pick favorites. And I hope that she reveals her relationship very shortly because from my sources, I don't think she's single anymore. Fiona, what do you think?
I feel like there's a chance that she's in the early days of a relationship, right? It started back up or started for real when she was airing on a television show about falling in love with other people. So yeah, I understand keeping it secret for now. I also understand if you're a public person who has a following and a fan base based on, you know, your journey for love, you probably are going to be a little hesitant to bring someone to that audience unless it's the real deal. So I'm just kind of hoping that whatever's going on with this guy, whoever he is in Nashville, does work out for her and that she brings it to her followers and then it ends up being, you know, something great. I did like Tia all season, but, you know, didn't work out for her this time around. She's still looking for that long-term dance partner and maybe Nashville guy will be it. Maybe she'll be back on the beach. Who knows?
We have the tea on Tia, guys, so we're definitely going to let you know. Tia cracks me up, like, towards the end. I'm like, all right, I kind of like her now, but she's kind of fun to, like, mess with as well. Tammy moved to Los Angeles and is now vaccinated. Now, this is in regards to her getting COVID on her birthday last year, and then this year she got dumped by Thomas on her birthday. Tammy has been through a lot on this show. She also tweeted that Aaron and James both unfollowed her on Instagram, which she was kind of a little upset about. They still feel very strongly to this day. I was listening to a podcast Aaron was on that Tammy was rude and Tammy, you know, kind of messed it over because Tammy was supposed to care about Aaron and she knew how much he hated Thomas at the time. Now Thomas and Aaron are fine. But Tammy still has a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people love her. A lot of people hate her. Gianna, what are your thoughts with Tammy? Do we think she will find love? Do we think she can find some friends in Bachelor Nation?
Tammy was my least favorite human on this season. She really made me mad. I also think she was rude. If she were a guy and did the things that she did as a man to a woman, I think that everyone would have flipped out on that beach. I think they would have been like, well, how could you do that to her? Blah, 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 blah,
Brendan,
blah. But I
maybe.
feel like I feel like she got kind of a pass because she is a woman and and she's like, well, I can do whatever I want, blah, blah, blah. But if someone ever did that, in her own mind, she got a pass, is what I'm saying. But I feel as though if the roles were reversed, she would have, well, which they were clearly at the end here. Like she kind of did get a taste of her own medicine. And look at her. Like that's like you crying, Tammy, is how you made Aaron feel internally. So I don't blame Aaron, and of course his whatever bromance man unfollowed her on Instagram. Like, why are you upset over it? Like you were rude to him. Like, why would he follow you and want to keep up with you? Like, don't take it personal. And the facts that they said it is now vaccinated, I got a little confused because I thought they were doing like an only vaccinated type of situation to film. So I don't know if they kind of threw that in there as a joke. Because I was like, wait, like, was she not vaccinated? But I won't even get into that. That part just confused me a little bit, but it was still funny because it was alluding to her COVID cry of saying what she said about getting COVID and then getting broken up with. So bye, Tammy. I didn't like her.
I get it. I mean, kind of like, I like Tammy. She follows me on TikTok, so I definitely like her. But I think that Tammy kind of still needs to learn, like, this is, if, you treat people a certain way, you're going to get it back. And I think that she still needs to kind of do that again. Maybe another season of Tammy would not hurt on Paradise because I feel like there wasn't that many differences between Peter's season and this season. She still has a little bit more growing to do. James and Aaron left the show together. They're a package deal. They're now roommates, BFFs, hashtag big facts. These two ended up being my favorites throughout the season, like especially towards the end. Is this one of the best bromances of all time, Fiona?
Yes, I love them. I love the way they supported each other. I love the way they had each other's back. I love the way James opened the door for Aaron when he knew things weren't going anywhere with Tia. Like, I feel like they have a really good, listen, they have all the boxes. They have a great way of communicating with each other. They make each other laugh. They're loyal to each other. Like, this is the most successful relationship to come out of Paradise. I am so happy for them. I think they're going to live a long and happy life together. And I would love to see them back on the beach together.
Me
like,
too.
I think it's really fun when a duo like this emerges. So I hope we see more from them in the future for sure.
A lot of people online are saying they want them to be the Bachelor, like two bachelors. They need to go back on the show together or do something else. I wish that some Bachelor people did other reality shows because other reality shows, like contestants will go to like 4 or 5 of them, but when you're on The Bachelor, you kind of stick in the Bachelor bubble, and I feel like they would thrive in another series like Love Island or something. I don't know. What do you think is next for them, Gianna? And do you want to come with me to their house? Like maybe we can get invited to wherever they moved in together.
Of course I want to go with you to their house, like hashtag big facts. Like, and also the fact that they're roommates, like give us a podcast, like give us some content, like start a YouTube channel. Like we want Aaron and James, like we want to hear from them. We love them. They have an audience. Like they can be so successful as this duo. And they're reminding me of Pauly D and Vinny from Jersey Shore.
Yes.
That, they went on to, I don't know if they were ever roommates, but they went on to have their own dating show. So I could totally see that with these two. Pauly and Vinny are my favorite bromance ever, ever, ever. And then these two are like right below them. So I would love to see anything, like I said, podcasts, like something like, I love that idea, Zach, like another sort of reality show. I could see them two on a dating show of some sort. So big facts, they will be doing something and I can't wait to see it.
Oh, absolutely. Podcast is genius. I'm totally throwing that idea out of them. Brendan and Piper are laying low. We kind of touched on this. They ended up breaking up. I mean, Fiona, do you think we're ever going to hear from Brendan? I mean, his apology that he put on Instagram was not it by any means, shape, or form. Do you think he owes us another apology, or do you think too much time has passed and he can just start posting maybe normally again in the next few weeks now that the show's over?
I think that, well, first of all, I could not agree with you more. That apology was so not it.
So
It
bad.
was such a miss. It really, really, really didn't work. I hope to God he doesn't have representation that signed off on that, because if he does, then he needs to find new representation. That was some bad advice. I think that, to be honest with you, too much time has passed, at least in my opinion. I think if, like, in a month from now, he's like, hey, I'm back. And before I resume shirtless, ridiculous content, by the way,
Oh,
I'm
I do
sorry,
miss
like, it's
that.
not going to work. It's not going to work. I think he needs to show his followers that he has learned and grown and is a better man. How he's going to do that, I don't know. But if he wants to try to come back and save himself, he's going to have to play the slow and steady game. And I don't think we're going to see him with Piper again. I don't know that those two can rebuild after all of this. I feel like there's such a dark cloud looming over them, that it would be too difficult for them to find their way back. I mean, crazier things have happened, I guess, but I don't think that's going to be it.
If they ever get spotted together again, Bachelor Nation is gonna lose its mind. But Gianna, I do want to ask you about Piper and, like, yes, loving this shot of Natasha and Little John, but Piper has been active on social media. She has posted some reels. She's posted a little bit of content, not a lot, just a little. Today she put out her, statement about mental health and everything. How do you think she's doing trying to get Bachelor Nation to like her again? Because she was very, very villainized.
She was definitely villainized, and obviously you guys just heard me go on a rant about how bad I
Mhm.
despise the two of them. But I do think at the end of the day, if we're gonna pick one person that was at fault in the situation, it was Brendan, because I always think about that moment when Piper was like, I told you I shouldn't have came, or I didn't want to come here. Like, they clearly had some sort of conversation, and like, I just have a gut feeling that Brendan was like manipulating her in a sense to kind of be that person and just kind of do anything that he said to do. And she did it. And then she was put in the limelight for the worst reasons possible and then turned into a villain. Like, I really think it was all Brendan. I think that plan was all him. And I think, unfortunately, she went along with it just because she was being manipulated by this guy. Brendan reminds me of like an ex-boyfriend that I had, and I was like in a weird position, and I could totally see my ex being like, hey, come to paradise, like, we're not really dating, but like, you should just come and blah, blah. Like, I could totally see him saying that, and I'm like, and I would probably have done it and then like been exactly like Piper was. So I honestly do feel for her. My heart is going out to her. Like, I really hope that she does recover from whatever she's going through with her mental health, because no matter what, no one should be able or have to go through anything in regards to mental health. And I saw the things people were saying to her, which were absolutely
Mhm.
horrible. So I think that she's doing a great job of kind of keeping on social media. She said what she had to say, and now she's being an advocate for mental health, and she's continuing to do her own thing. So as long as she keeps pushing forward, I think that everyone can forgive her and move past the situation eventually.
Yeah, and I think people will, and we'll have to kind of see what happens. I mean, I would like a little bit more of an authentic reasoning or explanation on what happened on Paradise, or just like her side of the story, because her statements were also not it. I don't know what if she's contractually obligated to just not say certain things right now, that's fine. But in a few months from now, I want to hear what really happened in her side of the story for me to be able to not like forgive her, because like who cares, but just like understand what really went down, because I still feel like she hasn't fully addressed, or Brendan, anything like for real about the show in general, not like what's going on with like her mental health and everything. So we'll have to see what happens. Definitely will be keeping up with them in some regards on their story. Maybe not as closely as I will be watching and following Natasha, but definitely going to keep up all of the updates to let you guys know. Natasha's killing it. She has a very bright future ahead of her. What do you foresee in the future for Natasha, Fiona?
I think Natasha has an extremely bright future ahead. She already, listen, she's a part of the franchise. She hosts a podcast. She's got her, what is it, 460,000 followers on Instagram now. I think that Bachelor World is her oyster, if that makes sense. If she wants to go on Paradise again, they're going to welcome her back with open arms. I would love down the line. I mean, we've getting Bachelorette season back to back. Down the line, if they're going to bring in an outsider as Bachelorette, I feel like she's going to be one of the women who gets the call first. I think that she has already been using her platform to kind of promote self-love, knowing your worth, taking care of yourself. She's big into yoga. She's super cute. Like, Natasha just has the world at her feet, and I hope that she gets everything she wants and then some.
Yeah, she has a lot going for her. She has a bright future ahead. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with her new career, because when you're on Instagram, that's a career, and she has double the amount of followers as most of the contestants now. So she has a lot that she can do to make the world a better place if that's what she chooses. Noah and Abigail left Paradise together and realized they missed each other. I don't know. They're hanging out, taking things slowly. This is the show talking. You know, I think you could tell by Abigail's video that, like, the show is really generalizing and downplaying this. They are in love. Like, they're madly in love. They're not taking things that slowly. I mean, she's met the family. She's hanging in Oklahoma. They're going on hikes. I'm happy for them. Like, literally, we have no choice but to stan Noah and Abigail. Probably one of my favorite couples of the season. So, you know, we did kind of cover that, and looking forward to hearing what their future is, as well as Becca and Thomas, who started dating again after Paradise. Another situation I'm not buying, but super happy for them as well. Riley and Marissa have lived part of Riley's dream. I guess his dream was the whole Sunday morning situation. They look super, super happy together. Can't wait to see what they do. Kenny and Mari's love. I mean, we kind of gone over all these couples, but I love seeing, like, the updates and the pictures. Let me ask you guys this, though. Is this enough? We don't have a reunion. If you want to hear their sides of the story, you got to look at their interviews, or we can tell you the tea as well. Is this enough, or are you guys pissed that this is all we're getting and that there's no reunion? Because next week is open. There's no Bachelor. Michelle's season starts in 2 weeks. Fiona, what is your take on this? Is this enough for us as Bachelor Nation?
You know, I have to say, after 3 hours last night, I thought this put a nice bow on it. And it made me excited to go on their Instagram, see their posts, see their updates, all that stuff. But is it ever enough, right? Like, I would have loved to have seen a reunion. I would have loved to have heard Noah and Abigail explaining to a host how they reconnected, right? I think we always, as fans of this franchise, want more. So, of course, I would have loved to have seen a reunion, no question. But I do think that with the absence of a reunion, it was very important that they did this, right? Because if they hadn't even done this, and we were just going to Instagram to find things out on our own, that would have been a big disappointment. So commend them at least for this effort.
Gianna, is this enough? Or can you take this? And then we're going to get into these tweets, which are really funny.
Yeah, I again, like you guys are saying, is it ever enough? Not really. But I mean, I'm thankful for social media. I'm thankful for the bajillion different, Instagram accounts that we can follow with Bachelor Nation updates and podcasts and blogs and Zachary Reality and everything else that we can follow to get the tea we would have gotten in the reunion. Granted, it would have been great to sit down and watch it all at once. But I'm so thankful that we have a week to just breathe, like watch your other shows, people, like cleanse your brain, like pregame for Michelle's season, like because then we would have been covering the reunion and then jumping right into Michelle's season. Like, I need a break. I need a little break. So I'm looking forward to this week of nothingness, to be honest with you, before we get into the real craziness once again.
I agree, but I needed that 2-hour hash out. I'm sorry. I needed to see the everyone reunion. I needed to see the outfits, Brendan and Piper in the hot seat. I wanted the reunion. I'm upset we didn't get one. I understand why. I think a lot of the reason there was no reunion is because Michelle's season was coming, because Clayton's season is filming right now. There might not have been time, budget, a host to really pull everything together. The Bachelor also has all of these podcasts, like Becca's podcast and the Clickbait Nation podcast, where they're giving people opportunities to tell their side of the story. So that's probably why we didn't get a reunion, for anyone wondering. And I mean, it is what it is. So we'll be keeping up on all these couples, letting you guys know. So make sure you guys are subscribed to us at Shared News and follow us on Twitter at Shared News, because we have tweets, we have memes. We're going to get into some questions, and we have to talk about the drama that went down on Twitter from some salty contestants that did not find love. We can see here that Demi tweeted, Anna is entertaining James for roses, which is paying tribute to Anna entertaining men for money when she called out Brittany last season on Matt James. And Anna is pissed off, and her bestie McKenna is having her back. They can't find it funny. They're saying Demi didn't mature. Demi's now calling McKenna a clown. Gianna, team Demi, or are you team McKenna / Anna? And why?
Ooh, it's hard because I was never really team Demi throughout the entire season. Like, I didn't like how dramatic she was. I didn't like the drama. I didn't like what she did to Mari. But in this situation, I am totally team Demi because, you know, she's verified. As you can see, she's a part of the franchise. All she's doing is making a lighthearted joke. And I think, I'm sorry, Anna kind of deserves this because of what she said. So I love the kind of play on words there. You know, Anna's entertaining James for roses. Like, girl, like you dished out what you did, so now it's time to take it. You know, like, don't dish what you can't take. So and I think that this was a hilarious tweet, you know, and I kind of think it's true, to be honest with you. Anna's clearly salty because this joke was made about her. And then McKenna to jump in, like, girl, sit down. Like, she wasn't attacking, Demi wasn't attacking Anna. Like, it wasn't you know, women bringing down other women moment where McKenna would like jump in and like save the day. This was just a harmless, lighthearted joke. And you know, Anna and McKenna were taking it to heart for whatever reason. I think, again, they were salty because they got kicked off and they didn't find love. So I'm team Demi on this one for those reasons.
I'm also team Demi. I think it's hilarious, but I think with Anna, I think she's probably just triggered because that was, even though Anna did it to herself, she probably was traumatized by all the backlash she got from the show, and Demi just bringing it up again is, I guess, is unnecessary. But it's funny, and you're on the TV, and it is what it is. And Demi even clarifies that it's a joke. Fiona, where do you stand on this?
Oh, I thought this whole thing was just annoying. Like, I mean, not to be whatever, but like, I didn't think Demi's tweet was that funny. I didn't think Anna and McKenna like egging on. The whole thing was just like a lot. I didn't need it. I didn't care enough. I think that Anna, you know what? Like, we have to remember what she did on Matt's season was not okay. But we kind of touched on this in one of our other lives. I do feel like she is someone who is trying to prove that she's grown from that. And one of the things we struggle with in this franchise is like, you have to hold people accountable, right, for what they've done. But at a certain point, are we going to also let people move on, right? So I feel like she came on Paradise trying to move on as an audience. Some people were willing to give her that. Some people weren't. And, you know, if this had been the most hilarious thing in the world, I would have been a little more like, haha, wow. But like, oh my gosh, I just was like, my drama cap has been full. Like, I don't need any more. Not from these three. But whatever.
Yeah,
I think Demi, I don't think Demi was trying to be like excessively malicious, if that makes sense. Like, if we're picking teams, right, I don't think that was the point. So it is what it is. I don't think we're going to see a big battle between these three. I think it's just a blip.
Put them all in a room together and let them hash it out. Demi's so known for doing this on Twitter. Demi's hilarious on Twitter. She likes to call people out, and that's just what she does on the show too. So at least Demi is staying consistent, and she's not backing down. Anna someone had to bring it up because they didn't bring it up on the show. You know, Anna came in, she was like, I'm most known for my facial expressions, Anna. And it's like, Anna, that's not what you were known for. Not at all. So, I mean, hopefully Anna just enjoys the clout. You know, she was attached to Demi's Twitter. Maybe she'll gain some followers out of it, and maybe that will help her. Clay Harbor, he was on Becca's season of The Bachelorette. He's also Andrew S.'s cousin. He is good friends with Grocery Store Joe. He says, the last thing I would want to see if I was about to propose to my ex-girlfriend, disrespectful of Kendall to insert herself in the moment that should be only about Joe, Serena, and their future together. Completely agree. We kind of touched on this earlier. Gianna, what do you think of this tweet? I mean, this is a good friend. He's rallying around his boy.
Yeah, I like we touched on earlier, I fully agree with this tweet. I'm so glad that he actually said something. You know, a lot of people in the franchise may not be confident enough to speak their minds on certain situations because they may be afraid of the backlash they'll get from audience members or producers. But I love that he's saying this, sticking up for his friend. And it's just true. Like, I won't dive too deep into it because we did talk about this earlier, but it was so disrespectful of Kendall to do that. And it should have been only about Joe and Serena in their future. Like, the other couples got a private engagement. No one else's ex came walking down the stairs. Like, why Joe and Serena? Like, why are you doing Joe so dirty like this? Like, what did he ever do to anybody? Seriously. Like, it's not funny anymore. Like, they completely crossed the line when it came to this. And I agree with everything that Clay said. Period.
Period. End of story. Let them know, Clay. We are going to open it up to a little Q&A. We want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on Bachelor in Paradise? Any questions? Anything you want to clear up? We are all Bachelor experts and hosts here, so we definitely have the tea, and we definitely are not afraid to give our opinion, just like Clay. So tweet us at Shared News if you want, or leave questions in the live chat, and we are going to get into it. I love this picture of the three happy couples. Such a great moment. Natalie says, did Kendall get to vacation in Mexico? There's no way she left Mexico. This is a really good question. And honestly, I think that she left Mexico. I don't know. I think it was probably about 12 days or 10 days, maybe 8 days. I'm like all over the place before when Kendall left the beach. And we know that Anna and like McKenna and Alexa, who never showed up, were like hanging out in the hotel before they showed up. I feel like Kendall left the beach and then they flew her back out to crash this proposal. I don't think she was waiting around in Mexico for this to happen. Fiona, what do you think?
So the only thing is, would she have had enough time? I think they're still pretty strict with quarantine. Like, was there enough time for her to leave, come back, quarantine, all of that? The only thing that I keep thinking is, maybe when she left the beach, producers were already in her ear trying to get her to go back. Because if we remember correctly, she left the beach in kind of a huff over her inability to stay there watching Joe, you know, have a new relationship. So maybe the first thing a producer did was say, why don't you cool down for a couple of days? Like, you had a good thing going with Ivan. Like, are you sure you really want to go? We're willing to keep that door open for you. And then if we all remember, there was that storm. So maybe that delayed some stuff. And then next thing you knew, she was still there. And I feel like more than anything, I just want to know, I mean, we've talked about this so long now, but like, were they paying her? How much were they paying her? Were they tricking her? Were they feeding her head with stuff? Like, I feel like they held her hostage. I mean, I don't know if they really did, but like, it's so embarrassing otherwise, right? Like, I want to give her at least a little bit of like, someone was in her ear encouraging this, keeping her there. I don't know.
If she was in Mexico waiting around, then fine. I get why she showed up. But I really think that she went home and then they flew her back.
And came all the way back.
That's just what I think. Gianna, what do you think?
I don't think so. Like, I really think that she was there and she was probably hysterical. So I agree with literally everything Fiona just said, because that's what I was going to say. I think producers were like, oh, just stay. You went through a lot. And then she stayed. And then they're like, well, what about this idea? And then she's like, no. And then they probably like, but we'll pay you this much money. And then it was definitely a persuasion thing that had to have kept her there, because there's no way there's no way she left and came back. Impossible.
Yeah. Ben says, hope it works out for Abigail and Noah. Better chance away from the pressures of the show and producers. A lot of us are shipping Abigail and Noah. I think they really did things differently, and they don't have the pressure of the producers, you know, in their ear. Do you think that Gianna, at the end of the day, do you think they were pressured to break up, or do you think they really broke up because they needed to get out of there?
I'm a firm believer in like the producers just being sneaky and just like trying to cause havoc. So I do think that they were pressured. You know, we did hear that conversation about Noah kind of feeling like he's giving and not getting anything back. So maybe there were producers in his ear being like, you know what, you don't deserve that. Like, cut it off. Like, you know what she said about you actually when we were just talking to her? Like, they do things like that. They really do. They spread like lies behind the scenes. So I do think it was a pressured breakup, because he was so upset. Like, he was just as upset as Abigail. Like, he was crying, she was crying. Like, it looked like he was like doing it against his will in a way. So I really do think that it was a pressured thing. And obviously they got back. Like, if he really didn't want to be with her and he's like, no, you're not my person, like, why get back with her literally the week you came back or the week after? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way that he was actually breaking up with her. There had to be some sort of pressure or influence, is what I believe.
Yeah. Fiona, what is Allison saying?
Allison says the Kendall stuff was all producer crap. And then why was Tia the only one who had to drag off her stuff? Everyone who left just got into the vehicle. I know. I mean, listen, I think the Kendall Joe weirdness at the end there, I think this entire thing was producer driven because Joe and Serena just refused to play the game that producers were trying to tee up. Serena would not get in a cat fight with Kendall. She would not even get in the tiniest awkward of moments with Kendall. She avoided her like the plague. Joe never was nasty to her. Like, even in that moment, he grinned and bared it and showed restraint, and then he just walked off down the beach. He wouldn't give producers a soundbite. Like, this was clearly a game production was playing, and they were smart enough to avoid. And yes, that Tia moment, so weird. Where was she going? Like, what was she doing? Why did they send her there? But it made for
They had to do
a
that to
funny
her.
moment.
No,
Yeah,
that was part
that
of
was
her
also
story,
Tia.
making her. That was totally part of her like story on Paradise, and they made her do that, and that was hilarious. It really makes sense. And I mean, Tia's never coming back to the show. She said it. She put it on Instagram. My run with Bachelor Nation is over. It's done. And I like what you said, Fiona. You put it in a good context. Joe, the way he smirked, he knows what the producers do. He's been around the block. He kind of works for the show, and they didn't feed into it. And that is really mature of them, and I wouldn't have done the same thing. I would have fought Kendall if I was Serena. I would have done something. Gianna, what is Eduardo saying?
Ooh, Eduardo is saying, I hated that there was no reunion. Yes, us
Me
too,
too.
Eduardo. I wanted
Us
Ivan to
too.
get asked why he lied on Chelsea and then what he did that got him kicked off. I think that this is the number one question that we are all asking ourselves and we are all dying to know the answers to, because that was literally chaotic. I think I want to say, aside from the Brendan and Piper BS, that Ivan's moment was like one of the most dramatic moments of the entire season. So obviously
Mm-hmm.
there's questions that need to be answered about the whole thing, like what happened. But again, as I was saying earlier, I think that we're gonna get a sort of podcast or a sort of YouTube video or some other form of content eventually down the line of Ivan telling his side of the story. And like Zach said, he may still be under a contract right now. Like, he legally may not
Definitely.
even be able to talk about it. And maybe that's also why they didn't have the reunion, because they're like, wait a second, this is too soon. He can't talk about it just now. We need people to keep talking about the season and talking about what happened for like months to come, even though we have Michelle's season coming up. I will never understand what goes on behind the scenes. Like, I just want to apply to be a PA, maybe just want for like one season of something, just to know what goes down, because I don't understand it and I'll never understand it. So it's craziness out here.
I think you're right. I think this is like the number one question. No, Bachelor people never do YouTube videos. They never like tell their side. They always have to do the podcast. I think that they're obligated to. And we see on other shows like Love Island or whatever, they always like do YouTube videos spilling the tea. I wish Bachelor people did that. But what a crazy season, guys. We did it. Like, we covered it the entire season. We were in this together. Thank you to everyone who watched with us, listened to our Paradise recaps. This is almost like the end of a milestone. I feel like that. Maybe we should round it up with our favorite moment from the season. And I will go first and say, we all have to have different moments. Okay, I'm gonna say that. My favorite moment of the season, or my favorite type of story, was the Tajwan, Uncle Trey situationship, love triangle, best TV gold. Glad we got a little bit of Tajwan in the end. Definitely want to talk to her and get some updates, and the uncle. So that was my favorite moment / love triangle of the season. Fiona, what about you?
If I'm being silly, I'm going to go with Aaron and James. Like, I feel like there were a lot of nice relationships, there were a lot of nice proposals, but I think the moment that made me laugh the hardest, that made me really smile, that I was like, love this, was really them riding off into the sunset together. Like, I could go deeper than that, but I feel like I'm going to give it to those two. Love them forever.
Yeah, Gianna, how about you?
I honestly loved that little BTS moment during the credits of Mari shoving the chicken nuggets in her mouth. Like, it seemed like everyone on the beach was eating chicken nuggets and fries, and like then they do that fun little thing. And I'm like, I love seeing those moments, like a step away from the drama, a step away from the stories. Like, those are the real moments that I signed up for. So I just honestly loved that little moment. That's the first thing that pops into my head.
I love that. And now I am hungry, so we have to call this live. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel, ring the bell. We'll be back covering Michelle's season just in a couple of weeks, and we still will be doing Paradise updates here on Shared News. So make sure you guys are following and subscribed, and comment down below your thoughts on the season finale, the season as a whole. Let us know your favorite moment of the season, and I will reply to all of the comments, okay? If you tell me your favorite moment. So we'll be checking that out. As always, I am your host, Zachary Reality, joined by Fiona Zaring and Gianna Gravalisi. Follow us down below. Come talk all things Bachelor with us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.